Hi everyone, I am Andrea Villavicencio and I'm going to talk you about the relation between bushfires and climate change. But we're going to start before that because our activities are super important in this topic. The energy we use, the industry, the land uses, and other economic activities are increasing the emissions on our planet, causing the greenhouse effect, warming our planet and causing climate change since the last 100 years. And the main impact of climate change is the water cycle disturbance because the local communities are affected by this because of the extreme climatic events like floods, tornadoes, heat waves, drought, and bushfires, with great impacts in biodiversity and the people lives, and the risk is projected to increase for the next decades. So it's important to care about it too. And climate change is also increasing bushfires because bushfires needs four conditions that are given by climate change and human activities because of the low humidity, strong winds, and higher temperatures, and ample fuel material given by exotic plantations are causing extreme fire events more frequent, longer, and larger in area burned with more economic and social impacts in local communities because of the losses of lives and personal properties and environmental features like emissions. And this is why the cycle restart because the emissions of bushfires are contributing to climate change. So my coworker is going to explain you more about bushfires in the second poster. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. On to this second poster. The point of this one is to show that although wildfires have existed forever, when humans arrive in both of these countries, wildfires begin to change for the more dangerous. We see with the arrival of the first humans that forest cover retreats and rates of rates of fire in general are increased right from the very beginning, even before anything like industrialization. But when we move to industrialization, when humans start to interact with their environment in a more significant way, we see that the replacement of native forest, which is logged for timber or for industry, with exotic forest corresponds with a big jump in fire. We know that exotic plantations represent a small percentage of total forest, but they represent a much larger percentage of total burned land. So this is beginning to sow the seeds for a dangerous environment where wildfires are more likely. And as time progresses, we get to this sort of tipping point where there's enough burnable material, there's enough vulnerability to wildfire in these areas that wildfires become more common. And as they become more common, they sort of create the environment that would contribute to future wildfires. And it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous for humans, and it's very dangerous for anything that lives in these areas. And one of the most dangerous areas that we see at risk today is this urban wild interface, so sort of the fringe of big cities. And in Chile, it's inhabited by people mostly in poverty who have a lot to lose in terms of wildfire. It's everything they own, and it's not a community that has the resources to necessarily invest in wildfire prevention strategies, but they are the most damaged by those wildfires. In New Zealand, the story is a little bit different. This area is inhabited by people sort of getting away from it all, from the city. There's some holiday homes, some farms. And in this area, newcomers tend to not really know what the strategies are to prevent wildfires. So they're at risk of sort of ignorance, but this can be targeted by education programs. So we've seen extreme fire events increase as a result of this timeline of the way that humans have interacted with their environment and sort of promoted wildfire risk environments. Since 1970 in Chile, there's been almost a 60% increase in fire. There's been a doubling in the extension of burned area. The fire season has stretched. In New Zealand, we see a similar story. The burned area has almost doubled, which is massive, though most of that is on the South Island. That's where fires have been spreading at a higher rate, though most of the fires were in the North Island. And again, we know that between these two countries, there are certain areas that are more similar than other areas. But overall, the timeline of fire lines up for both countries. And it's important for us to share this poster as sort of context to say that, yes, wildfires have always existed, but if you look at the numbers, their rise and their spread has correlated almost exactly with the rise and spread of humans and the way that we interact with our environment. So on the third poster, we'll go over to Rodrigo, and he'll tell us a bit about what we can do in the future.
Thank you, Fox. In the third infographic, we can find what we detected as a potential direct collaboration between New Zealand and Chile in the facing of wildfires. Also, some urgent aspects for developing risk management strategies in both countries' contexts. The first part is a comparative organizational role regarding scientific research, available monitoring systems, and emergency response. For scientific research, two central institutions are leading. In the case of New Zealand, since 2018, is a Crown Research Institute called Zealand. In Chile, the Center for Climate and Resilience Research is currently leading, which is a university-based organization funded by the Chilean government in 2013. Each country has its monitoring system. In New Zealand, it's an automated fire weather monitoring system since 2002. On the other hand, Chile comes with a semi-automated system running since 1993 called Wildfire Forecast System, also known as Kitral, which means fire in Mapudungun, the Mapuche language. In terms of emergency response, New Zealand has recently created the Fire and Emergency New Zealand, combining multiple organizations and civil defense since 2017. In Chile, numerous organizations work historically in coordination, including the National Emergency Office, the National Forest Corporation, and local firefighters companies, which are volunteers. Some aspects of the development of risk management strategies for those countries are improving our understanding of the wildland-urban interface. Those areas are the most prone to host wildfire disasters. And also, a starting point in the management for both countries is removing wilding pines. Hopefully, these presented infographics will help in the engagement and collaboration between New Zealand and Chile in both climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction. Thank you.